Hello, Void. How you guys doing? So, took a little bit of time aim there just to catch my breath since I've been kind of chewing out reviews there. Still got a lot in the backlog, but hey, after today I'm at least through my 31 days. It's only most of the way through November. Right, gotta get back on doing this more readily. Anyway, final movie for October was Final Destination. This was not intended for the final to have final in the title. This was in my initial stack, and when I shuffled them together, this is just kind of how it ended up. Okay, so Final Destination, it's now become such a long-running franchise that most people know it, but at the time, this one definitely was something a little bit fresh and different. Now it's definitely, I think, overplayed, but the original, for me, still holds up pretty well, even if it has gotten a little cheesy. Alright, so, follows our boy Alex, who's doing a high school field trip to France, and is just a little bit nervous about flying, to the point where he gets on the plane, has a vision of the plane exploding, freaks out when little parts of that vision start coming true, and tries to warn everyone, hey, the plane's going to explode, and gets booted off the plane. And, several other students get kicked off the plane in the process, as well as one teacher. And, plane takes off, and then explodes. Leaving Alex trying to figure out what happened, how did I know this? And, racked with survivor's grief, him and his friends, teacher, and a couple enemies are trying to just get on with their lives. But what if they weren't supposed to get off that plane? What if Death has a plan for us all, and by leaving that, Death's plan's been thrown off? Death's got to correct his plan, so Death is coming for them in the order in which they would have perished on the plane, and trying to tip the scales back into balance. Usually with the most convoluted ways of accidents possible. Okay, so I do still enjoy this one, particularly the first one here. The deaths are inventive, and really the over-the-top mousetrap style deaths that result from this are really kind of the standout here. That and Tony Todd is a delightfully creepy Undertaker. So, Tony Todd's always a pleasure. And in general, just the way the scenario for the first one does work very well. Is it bad? It took me several years to realize Final Destination was a play on, Final Destination while traveling, the plane exploding. Now, the fact that everything else has been for a Final Destination movie, that's really lost its thing, and now it just means the Final Destination is death, but the pun is now gone. They killed the pun. Wow. So, the cast is pretty good for this. Alex Browning, played by Devon Sawa, does a pretty good job of just being the lead, what is going on, and Ali Larter is very well put together as the romantic interest / slightly, she's kind of hypnotic in this movie. She worked really well for me. And I always forget that Sean William Scott's in this. I mean, he's right here on the cover, but I always forget he's in it because he's got such a nothing role. His character is so basic, he's utterly forgettable. So he's wasted here. But the other characters do work very well. Though, while re-examining this just before this, I noticed something odd on the case that just kind of made me chuckle. So, you know how on the back, when they list an actor and they tell what they've been from, like Devon Sawa's Slackers and The Guilty. Keir Smith was in The Forsaken, Dawson's Creek. For Ali Larter, the first thing it mentions that she was in is Final Destination 2. You're advertising her as being from the sequel for this movie. Which also kind of gets into kind of spoiler territory there. So, really? The best thing you could say Ali Larter was the sequel to the movie you're advertising? I mean, they also give her Legally Blonde, so that's something. But otherwise, why? But the deaths are really the standout here, as they are in pretty much all the Final Destination films. They are wacky, they are inventive, and they are wildly unpredictable. And so pretty much the cat and mouse game of the characters trying to spot the clues that Death has accidentally dropped and seeing what they can do to avoid them. This one does have the added element of Alex talking to the police and them beginning to suspect that he's behind it as he keeps showing up in all these scenes trying to, well, stop the deaths, but more and more make it look like he's behind them. So that element does work. This one used to be one of my top horror films, but it has aged, and it's definitely moved down the rungs as it goes. For me, Final Destination is still like a 6 MacGuffin movie. It's definitely enjoyable, but it's mostly this one still has characters that are very enjoyable for me, but for the most part you wait until the next wacky death instance, and that's pretty much the selling point of the whole series, and that's what you're here for. So this one still holds enough water to be a recommendation for me. Alright, boy. See if I can get a few more of these in, but see you soon.